What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. This is God Logic Apologetics, and today we got a special guest in the building, Bob of Speaker's Corner. What's going on with you, brother?
What is going on is that Jesus is Lord, and I am happy to be with you. I think we initially tried to get this going a couple of months ago, and then it all
Yes,
kind of fell through, and finally we've pulled it together. And it just so
finally
happens
we're
that we're
here.
both doing it when neither of us are in our homes. So,
Right.
so that's
Both
clever.
on the go, and we finally get to live stream together.
Yeah, we're doing a live stream together, and neither of us are in our home studio. So that's
Exactly.
quite funny.
But man, I, I
Uh,
I I really am looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to more even after this. I hope that you have fun. I hope we get some really good guests here for you to go ahead and cook and have fun with, man, because we love watching Speakers Corner content. We love what you do. We learn
yeah.
from you. And man, I'm excited. I know everybody else is excited, so they can't wait
I'm
to
glad
see
to hear
this.
it, and I'm glad to be with you because I think you guys, what you brothers are doing at is it Balboa Park that
Yes,
you
sir. Yes, sir.
is
Balboa
that what it's
Park.
called?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Balboa.
Now let me just hello. We're having a
Can you
bit
hear
of
me?
an internet problem.
Did it go out?
Let me
We good?
just see if I can. Can bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to
Um,
turn my camera off and my mic off, and then I'm going to
no
deal
worries.
with the issue.
No worries. All right, guys, we got Bob in the house. If you're a Muslim, you're more than welcome to come up. We're gonna hit the intro right now as Bob gets it all together, man.
It's God. It's God. It's God.
Now, if you are a Muslim, you're more than welcome to come on up. And as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and drop the link now so that we can go ahead and get that started. First, before we do that, got a super chat from Liliac Flower Days who says, two of my faves on the same stream. Let's go, man. Praise God. It's by God's grace that we got to, get together and do this. I was banned, guys, for 7 days. I was banned for a week. So, as you guys have been paying attention to the posts that I've been putting up on my community posts, I'm going to dedicate an entire week starting Monday, an entire week to Muhammad Week. It's going to be called Muhammad Week, where I and a few other apologists, brothers, get together and we go ahead and dissect Muhammad, his falsehoods, his hygiene, his perversions, his demonic possessions, bewitchment, all kinds of stuff. Bob, just go to test your sound real quick.
Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2.
All right, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
All right,
Hopefully, the
good.
internet will be more stable. I've stuck a cable in
For
that was
sure.
lent to me by my host, so
Oh, no,
hopefully that
that's all
will.
right. That's all right. So yeah,
Yeah.
so as I was saying this, Bob, so I'm fresh off of a ban, and so I'm dedicating next week to Muhammad Week, going through some of the most embarrassing hadiths and stories, and just anything exposing his violence, his perversions, all kinds of stuff. So that's next week. If you have time on any day next week, let me know if you want to join in on a stream, and we pick a topic and we go in on that topic.
Yeah.
When it comes to
If I
books,
can
books.
make it next week, I definitely will.
Mhm.
I mean, I thought then if you're going to do that next week, maybe we should start at a different angle today and just do sort of like a general introduction to some of the blunders and gaffes that appear inside the Quran.
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
good idea.
like shall I get going on that one straight
Yeah, that's
out?
a good idea. So let me go ahead right as we get into that. Here's the link, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a Muslim and you want to come up and finally put Bob in his place, or put me in my place, I've been looking for a reason to say my Shahada for 2 years now. If you
Mhm.
guys feel like you
I'm
can
on
come up and
20
change our mind,
years and I've not found a good reason yet.
see, he hasn't found a good reason yet. And I mean, if it's true, it's true. We got to take heed to truth. So if you guys could come and change our minds about Islam and Christianity and all these kind of things, here is the link right here. you're more than welcome to join the discussion. Now, Bob, you said you wanted to get into kind of a general introduction to the blunders
Yeah,
that we have in the
I'll
Quran.
go
What's on your
through. I'll
mind,
go
man?
through some. I'll go through some basic problems in the Quran, and like I'll go through one at a time, and
Mhm.
then you can just chip in as you want, and then if someone wants to come in and talk about a particular issue, we can do so.
For sure.
So I mean, the one that most Christians could probably grasp the easiest is the error of the Quran when it comes to describing what Christians believe about the Trinity.
Mm.
Possibly the simplest one to go with. You know, like I don't know how much detail to jump in straight away, but we'll see how we go.
Let's see how we go. Oh, one second.
so
We got a guest in the back. T,
yeah,
please
yeah,
let
do
me
you want to
know.
bring him in straight off?
Well, yeah, I want to see. I got to make sure. T, hit the private chat. Let me know if you're a Muslim or not. We're only letting Muslims up to come up and have this discussion and chime in and try to change our minds. So please let me know if you're a Muslim in the private chat. We'll bring you up and you can join the conversation. Okay. But yes, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, so one of the easiest problems to identify from a Christian perspective for all Christians is the fact that the Quran, the author of the Quran, did not know what Christians believed about the Trinity. So in Surah 4:171, it says, "O people of the Scripture, do not exaggerate in your religion, and do not say about Allah except the truth. The Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, is indeed nothing but Allah's messenger and his word that he cast to Mary, and a spirit from him. So believe in Allah and his messenger, and do not say three, refrain, it is better for you. Indeed, Allah is only one God. Highly exalted is he that he should have a son." So the Quran clearly thinks that a belief that we Christians believe in three gods. Now,
That isn't that the Trinity, Bob?
like, I mean, I've not yet been to a church that teaches it that way. So clearly, every single church is getting the Trinity wrong when they teach
neither have I,
Trinity
but
is three gods.
I've been to a few mosques that teach it that way. Like, shouldn't that be a difference?
Well, this is the point. It's such an obvious gaffe for Christians and Muslims. In the face of this obvious gaffe, have been coming up with this idea that actually, you know, it's talking about any series of beliefs, and that in reality we Christians believe in three gods, which is utter nonsense. You know, like if you look at any statement, any authoritative statement of any council, any church, it's categorical. Christians believe in one God. So if any Muslim does come on to challenge me on this point, I'd love them to show me in the Bible where it teaches we believe in three gods. That would be good to see.
That's a bit that could be kind of arrogant of you, Bob, to think that you know more than the one who knows best.
Well, I mean, maybe we should listen to what Ibn Kathir says. But
okay, let's check the scholars.
Let's before we go to that, let's just read another passage which is related. Because in Surah 5, Ayah 116, it says, "And recall when Allah said, O Jesus, son of Mary, did you say to mankind, take me and my mother as two gods apart from Allah? He said, highly exalted are you. It is not for me to say what I have no right to. Had I said it, you would have known it. You know whatever is within my innermost self, and I do not know what is in your innermost self. You are indeed the superb knower of the hidden realms." And so the Quran, if we allow the Quran to interpret the Quran believes that we believe in three gods, and the Quran believes that those three gods are Allah, Jesus, and Mary. Now, Muslims try to say that they try to exegete these two passages separately. So Dawagandists, the car salesman of Islam, they try to treat these two passages as if they're talking about two separate things. To which I want to quote a lengthy quote from Ibn Kathir. And then I'll also quote, actually, we'll just stick with Ibn Kathir. So this is what Ibn Kathir says.
Wait, so there's no verse that talks about the Holy Spirit being part of this three that Christians may or may not believe in?
Yeah, you've got it in one. Exactly. The Holy Spirit as part of the Trinity, the three, is a completely alien concept to the Quran. It's almost like, I know this is a shocker, but it's almost like the author of the Quran didn't know what he was talking about.
That's huge, man. That's a
It's
huge
scary,
look,
right? Like, this infinite, eternal, all-knowing God that knows everything can't
everything,
even
Bob.
describe Christians' beliefs correctly when he's correcting them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I gotta let the Muslims, if you're here, man. I mean, I'm trying to be as gracious as I can. We cannot allow someone like this kafir, to continue to mock Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way he's doing it. Okay. All right. So somebody step up here. Prince, I see that you're back in the backstage. Let me know if you're a Muslim. Because guys, just to be clear, we are only letting Muslims up, no Christians. So if you're a Christian, please hear me. I love you. But please do not request up because I'm only letting Muslims up for this discussion. All right. So, Prince, let me know in the private chat if you're a Muslim so that you can come put Bob in his place. Because the way he's talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't like it. I do not like it at all. Also, we got a super chat, Bob, for you. Says Bob Logic in the house. You two are the true soldiers of Christ. All the honor to the Lord, and may God bless and strengthen you guys. Greetings from, it looks like Luxembourg. Wow,
beautiful.
Amazing.
God bless you, brother. So let's while the people are gathering themselves, I'm just going to read. It's quite a lengthy quote, but I think we need to hear it. It's from Ibn Kathir. This is what he says: Allah forbids the people of the scripture from going to extremes in religion, which is a common trait of theirs, apparently, especially amongst the Christians. The Christians exaggerated over Isa until they elevated him above the grade that Allah had given him. They elevated him from the rank of prophethood to being a god. Notice he thinks it's a god, whom they worshipped just as they worshipped Allah. They exaggerated even more in the case of those who they claim were his followers, claiming that they were inspired, thus following every word they uttered, whether true or false, be it in guidance or misguidance, truth or lies. Nor say of Allah except the truth means to do a lie and to claim that Allah has a wife or a son. Allah is far holier than what they attribute to him. Allah is glorified, praised, and honor in his might, grandeur, and greatness, that there is no deity worthy of worship, nor Lord but him. Allah said, Al-Masih, son of Maryam, was no more than a messenger, and Allah, his word, which is bestowed on Maryam, a spirit created by him. Isa is only one of Allah's servants and one of his creatures. Allah said to him, be, and he was, and he sent him as a messenger. Isa was a word from Allah that he bestowed on Maryam, meaning he created him with the word be, that he sent with Jibril to Maryam. Now, there's comments that we can make about this. But I just want you to hear that what Ibn Kathir is going to say. Jibril blew the life of Isa into Maryam by Allah's leave, and Isa came into existence as a result. This incident was in place of the normal conception between man and woman that results in children. This is why Isa was a word and spirit created by Allah, as he had no father to conceive him. Rather, he came into existence through the word that Allah uttered, be, and he was, through the life that Allah sent with Jibril. Allah said, Al-Masih, Isa, son of Maryam, was no more than a messenger. Many were the messengers that passed away before him. His mother Maryam was a Siddiq. They both ate food. And Allah said, so believe in Allah and his messenger. Believe that Allah is one and alone, and that he does not have a son or a wife. Know and be certain that Isa, the servant and messenger of Allah, said after that, say not three. Do not elevate Isa and his mother to be gods with Allah. So Ibn Kathir interprets these two passages together in the very same way that I'm interpreting these two passages together. Ibn Kathir, the man that hates the Jews like no other anti-Semite in history, has gone on to say that the three gods spoken about in 4171
Mm.
is Allah, Isa, and Mary, meaning that Ibn Kathir uses Surah 5116 with Surah 4171 to
Mhm.
describe what Christians believe.
Wow.
And he gets it wrong.
Wow. So wait, Bob. Okay. So you're saying, and far be it from you, to use the Quran in its context and to quote,
Yeah.
you know,
Or to allow classical commentators to commentate on the
to
Quran.
allow commentators to commentate. Far be it from you to treat the Quran honestly, and not isolate certain verses for your own agenda. That's tough, Bob. That's tough. So I think we have a Muslim in the backstage. Let me go ahead and read a couple super chats, and we'll bring the guest up. Hopefully, he can show us why Bob and Ibn Kathir are wrong in that Allah gets our beliefs incorrect. So we have from Sister Kelly, who says, "Hey, Avery and Bob, may the Lord continue blessing you both as you put Allah under your feet by the power of Christ." Amen. Thank you so much, sis. Appreciate you always supporting the ministry. We also got Manuel, who says 434 that like button and share on all social media outlets while they cook. God bless you both, gentlemen. Do you get the 434 reference? The 434?
No, I don't. I'm not that cool.
So
what does that mean? Is that some
started,
kind of urban slang?
It started here, actually, Bob. So
programmer's code here.
So Surah 434, Bob.
430 got you.
Hit that like button, like you fear disobedience from it. That's what basically what they're doing.
Got you.
All right. So Sean is a Muslim. Let's go ahead and bring him up. Thank you for the super sticker. And Ahran Michael, who says Salam al-Masih. Salam al-Masih to you, my friend.
Salam al-Masih.
Thank you guys so much for supporting it. It's Bob Logic.
I think you've just got a new name whenever we two get together.
Yep, exactly. All right, Sean, you're on the stage. How you doing?
I'm good. And you?
Pretty good. Welcome. So, have you been listening to everything that Bob kind of went through a little bit?
Yes, a little bit. I just understood that he was talking that Quran didn't get it right about Mary and Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But
so to be clear, brother, what I'm saying, what I'm accusing the Quran of is the Quran is seeking to correct Christians about their belief, but it fails to accurately describe the belief that Christians have to correct that belief.
In fact, I don't totally disagree with you. In fact, that I don't have any answer why is depicting Mary as also a person that got worshipped by Christians. Is it because there was kind of a sect who was worshiping Mary at that time, or I have no idea? I'm going to tell you the truth. Is it possible? Is it possible? Just a possibility that it happened during the Christianity, a time where some people inside the Christianity was worshiping Jesus and Mary at the same time. Maybe, I said. I don't know. I have no history background about that. Nothing.
So my best educated guess is this: that the churches that existed in the Middle East are what we in academic circles would now call Catholic churches. And those churches, they venerated Mary as they venerate other saints, and they honored Mary, and they believed, and they still believe, they're still there, they believe in the intercession of the saints. And so they can ask Mary to do things. So when Muhammad was on his travels in Syria, I think he was exposed to that, and he didn't understand what he was seeing. And so he mistook veneration and the request for the intercession of the saints as actual worship of Mary as a god with Jesus and with the Father, which for Muhammad was Allah. And then he's taken that misunderstanding, and that's what we're finding in the Quran. And it's also what we're finding with Ibn Kathir, and he's probably making that same mistake. Now, it's important to point out that a significant minority of Christians don't believe or practice the intercession of the saints at all. And so it's not that all Christians believe this and all Christians practice this. But certainly at the time of Muhammad, all Christians that Muhammad would have been exposed to did believe it, did practice it, this intercession and veneration of the saints, including Mary. And I think that's where Muhammad gets his idea from. But the thing is, an all-knowing God should have known the difference between worshipping Mary as a god and venerating Mary and asking for her intercession as a saint. And if he disagreed with the idea of veneration and intercession of Mary as a saint, he should have been able to articulate and gone, hey, you think Mary can intercede for you. You venerate her as if she can hear your veneration. Stop all that. It's not true. But he doesn't. The author of the Quran thinks that Mary is taken as a god. And that is just nowhere near the truth. And there is no sect that treat Mary as a god that I know of.
Okay, I understood your point. But my question is, when you ask, because in the principle in the Quran is the association. You're supposed to ask for help God directly, no intercession. But maybe Muhammad or the Quran is pointing out that by asking Mary to intercede or to give help or to supply anything, not directly to God, there's part of association in making her like having superpower. Just a quick question. In your Bible, does it say that Mary is a prophet or has something special from God? I don't know the Bible. I didn't read it. Just read some passages. This is an honest question.
No, okay. Well, and what's your name, brother?
Sean.
Sean. So, I mean, I want to encourage you, Sean, to get yourself a Bible and to start reading it and to find yourself knowledgeable questions to ask such questions to. To answer your question directly, Mary is not called a prophet, but she is called the mother of the Lord. You know, and the reason why she's called the mother of the Lord in the Gospel of Luke is because she, when in her womb, is the incarnate Logos, the incarnate Word, that is the divine Son, Jesus Christ, and a pre-existent person that has always existed, even before time itself began, and he has taken to himself a humanity, and that humanity is of Mary, and so she receives this title, the Mother of the Lord, which the church in the course of history gives her the title Theotokos, or Mother of God, is how it's badly translated into English. It probably is more accurate to say God bearer. And so, that's to answer that specific question. Coming back to your comments about the Quran, whilst I understand that your comments are, I don't think you can get around this statement. So if you go to Surah 5:116, it says, "And recall when Allah said, O Jesus, son of Mary, did you say to mankind, take me and my mother as two gods apart from Allah?" So equaling three gods. That you can't get around that. That's what the Quran is accusing Christians of believing, you know. Because obviously Allah is speaking to Isa. Isa is the one that brought the Injil, and the Injil is the people of the book known as the Christians. And so this is a correction being offered to Christians. But unfortunately, no Christians have ever believed in three gods. By definition, you can't be a Christian and believe in three gods. It's like someone saying that I'm a Muslim and I believe that there's another prophet after Muhammad. You know, it immediately excludes you from the community of believers.
Exactly.
I agree. But in fact, as I said maybe there is, and the Quran is depicting Mary as an associator. He has a special divine power because she got the word in her womb.
Mhm.
So that's why when we intercede, when she is asked to intercede, she is given somehow some kind of divine power. Do you understand? So
Yep.
maybe, I said maybe, that's what the Quran is asking us. So did you take her as a god? Meaning, are you worship her as a being who has divine power?
So you know
So
that.
do you understand my meaning?
Yeah, I
But
think I do.
but one second.
Yes.
The thing is, I heard you said the word in her womb. The thing is, I saw a video of God Logic saying that there is kind of misunderstanding in the Quran or between God is because the Quran is depicting Jesus as the Spirit and the Word from God or of God, but in the same time he's denying the deity of Christ. So my question, what makes you think inside the Quran that by Jesus being called the Word, he is divine? I don't know if I'm changing the subject, but
It's connected. It's connected. So let me ask you this question: Is Allah ever without his attributes?
Is Allah without ever his attribute?
Yeah, is Allah ever? Is there any point in? Is there any point at which Allah doesn't have his attributes?
No, he has his attributes all the time.
And is his speech one of those attributes?
Speech one of his attributes? What do you mean speech?
His word is that one of his attributes? Is his kalam one of his attributes?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't. For me, for so far, I don't see speech as being attribute.
Okay,
I know he's merciful, he's just, he's stuff like this, but speech, word, I didn't see that.
I would suggest. I don't know if you know much about the Mu'tazilite heresy, but one of the debates that happened in ancient Islam was a debate about whether Allah's speech was eternal or not, whether the Quran was eternal or not.
I know about that.
Yeah,
but I don't agree with it.
And the Mu'tazilites were the group that were condemned because they believed that the speech of Allah was created.
Yeah, but that's why it's a heresy, by the way.
And,
yeah, and the Muslim who defend this idea of the words of the Quran is eternal or uncreated, they shoot themselves on the foot. In fact, because it's a big nonsense.
So you disagree with the idea of the eternal Quran?
Of course.
Okay.
There's only God who is eternal. Okay. For me, when I read the Quran, that's what it says.
Right. So let me finish the logic. Let me explain the logic, and then you can reply. So, if you take the assumption that God is never without his attributes, and speech is one of his attributes, then because the Quran says that Isa is a word from Allah, that this word is called Isa, he names one of his words, and that Isa is a spirit sent from Allah, then because the spirit is something that is one of Allah's attributes, therefore the logic is that Isa must also be divine.
No, not at all. This is completely illogical.
Yeah, that's fine. You deny that the attributes are.
But I can explain why. I can explain why, if you want.
Go on.
Of course. Are you okay to let me explain why? Because because the Quran explains what's the word. He explains it clearly. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. Is there any person or prophet called the word except Jesus in the Quran?
To my knowledge, no.
Nope.
You're 100% right. Nobody is called the word except Jesus.
Wait, say that one more time, because I get sometimes when I go with this subject, we get
Muslims. I'm going to say it 10 times if you want. No problem.
Say it loud for the people they can hear
loud. Yeah, very loud. There's nobody else, prophet or human being, called the word in the Quran. But you have to listen after. There are many things called the words.
Right. So
The
you
question
have
is, what
have
are
Allah's,
the other words?
you have Allah's revelation,
No,
right?
completely,
Then you have
completely
Jesus.
false.
I'm sorry.
This is not what the Quran is saying.
Hmm.
Do you want me to go with this? No problem. I'm going to preview. First of all, people think that a word in English means a word.
All right,
But the
before
problem is
you
that
continue, brother. I promise I'm gonna let you continue.
no problem.
Thanks, Omar, for the super chat. We also have a couple of super chats I wanted to get to eventually. Just hold that thought. Bob, this was for you as well. They said from Norway, brother Bob, we met in 2022 summer at Speaker's Corner when I was on vacation with family. Don't know if you remember. It was so short an intro because you were busy and my family was waiting. But God bless you both. So they wanted to give you a shout out because they got to meet you. And then we also have a super chat that's asking a question on Surah 3 verse 3. And just want to let you know, thank you for the super chat. It's a huge one. We're gonna get to your question once we flush this out just a little bit, but we'll get to your question right after this, okay? So I'll pull it back up when it's time. But thank you so much for dropping that super chat. All right, go ahead, Sean. Break it down.
I'm sorry. Okay, so the thing is, yes, you are right. I'm going to repeat again like this. Everybody is clear for him. The word is only called for Jesus, and no other prophet is called the word. But God says in one of his verses that if the sea was ink for his words, it would not be enough. So what it means, it's not the words of the Quran or his revelations, because if you take all the revelations from Noah till now, the seas will be much more than enough. Do you agree with this? So here, the Quran, if the words mean the words of the revelation, it's a big contradiction here.
But the point is that this kind of picture metaphor that the Quran is using it's trying to say that if I remember that passage correctly, it says that if all the oceans were ink and all the pens and all the trees were pens, then even if jinn and mankind united together, they couldn't produce a surah or an ayah like under this Quran. So it's saying even if you had infinite resources and infinite time, you could not produce a Quran like you couldn't produce a verse of the Quran like this. So that's not a statement about the created.
That's not what it's saying. I'm sorry, because I have it in front of me.
Go on. Which passage is it then?
Is 18:109 or 31:27?
Bear with us. 18. Let's have a look.
109.
Bear with me. 18:109. There. Sorry, clicked on the wrong one.
By the way, guys, 18:109. We got the verse.
Yes.
Don't forget, guys, if you guys are watching, please hit that like button. It really helps the video get out. It helps the algorithm, people to see this. If you guys are enjoying this conversation, you love our guest, Sean, who's been pretty polite and respectful here with a good conversation. We got Bob here. So make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Let people know, let YouTube know we're here. All right, what does this verse say?
Yeah, it's talking about the fact that the words of Allah can't run out. Yeah, it is a different passage to the one I was thinking of.
Yes,
it's saying that the words of Allah can't run out, but that's saying
run out. What do you mean by run out?
As in they're infinite.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, if they're infinite, don't they have a divine attribute?
It doesn't infinite, but it's a lot. So it's more than one for sure. It's a big number.
But the implication is, if it says that the sea were to become ink for the words of my Lord, the sea would run out before the words of my Lord ran out. In other words, it's saying that the word of Allah is infinite.
Kind of, yeah.
Right.
It's a big number
infinite,
for sure.
Attribute.
Because even if you bring multiple seas, it's not infinite. But what the word means is, I'm going to tell you what it means. The word in the Quran, okay. I'm going to give you an example like this. Everybody can understand. In Quran, there are two principles which everybody needs to know. The first principle is a word can have multiple meanings. Like the word right. If I tell you turn right, it means something. But if I tell you I have the right amount, it has another meaning. Understand? So a word can have multiple meanings in the Quran, but two different words, even if they have close meanings, are never synonyms. If you keep this principle, you will understand much better the Quran. So, for example, if you go to verse 8, Surah 18, verse 5, he's saying, what is a terrible word that comes out of their mouth? So he's using the word which has the meaning of, like we know it, a spoken word. But in this verse, when he says that the sea, if the sea were inks for the words, he's not talking about the words of the revelation. It means anything. Look, every time God forces the nature to get off its normal way, he's calling in the word. Every time. For example, I'm going to give you an example. He destroyed a nation with a scream. Is it a normal way to die? No. So this is a word. He sent birds with baked cloth, baked rocks of baked stones of clay to kill nation or to destroy a nation. This is a word. All the miracles of the creation, like say the first atom, the first light, the first gravity, all these are words.
So just to be clear, it sounds like you're talking about Allah's decree and command, but not specifically that these things, like these birds that bring clay or whatever that flew and stuff like that, that they are the words themselves, but they have been commanded by Allah's word to do.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's something miraculous or out of the normal way of the nature, commanded by God.
But here's
Thank you very much. Your English is much better than mine.
Okay, I got you, man. I'm here to help. I'm an English sheikh. It's all good.
Yes.
But listen. But here's the difference. The difference is that Jesus himself is identified as Allah's word.
Correct.
Why? The question
Nothing
is
else
why?
Is.
Because he's get out of the normal way of the nature. He was born without a father.
But the point is,
the
Quran is making. I mean, there's two things here. Firstly, there's three things I want to say here. Firstly, is there's other things that I want to bring forward. Connected to problems in the Quran. We've identified a problem in the Quran in the way that it describes the Trinity and the way that it gets that Trinity wrong, right? And we've kind of moved tangentially.
I agree with that.
Now the problem is, if there is an error in the Quran, is the Quran from Allah according to the Quran?
Yes, but I'm not talking as a Muslim. I'm removing my Muslim hat. I'm talking about what the word is meant in the Quran as a non-Muslim. I don't want to be biased. So that's why I said I agree with you that somehow the Quran is not depicting the Trinity right. I'm not saying the Quran is true. What I'm saying is that you understood the word the wrong way in the Quran.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Wait.
By the way,
one second, I'm going to prove you wrong because I'm going to read. I'm reading from Islam QA. Okay, so this is a fatwa, and it's fatwa 101. Wait a minute, 10,500 or in fact, I'll just go 100585 because for some reason I can't read numbers.
I don't believe in that.
Let
I believe what the Quran is saying, not what the fatwa is saying.
Let me just read what this fatwa says. Okay. The Quran comes under the headings of his words or speech, which is of his attributes. Therefore, whoever says that it is created is a disbeliever. This is the belief of the Sunnah, the al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. In contrast to the beliefs of deviant groups. Then it goes on to say, Ibn Qadama said this. Part of the speech of Allah may be glorified is that the noble Quran, which is the clear book of Allah, his strong rope and straight path, the revelation of the Lord of the worlds, which was brought down by the trustworthy spirit to the heart of the leader of the messengers in a clear Arabic tongue, revealed, not created. It originated from him and will return to him. It consists of clear surahs and clear verses, letters and words. Whoever recites it clearly and correctly will have for each letter 10 hasanat, It has a beginning and an end and consists of parts and smaller sections. It is recited on people's lips and is memorized in their hearts, listened to and written in the mushafs. It has both clear and ambiguous verses, that which abrogates and that which is abrogated, and general and specific words, commands and prohibitions. So here you've got a Muslim scholar saying that the Quran is an eternal attribute of Allah. His words are eternal, uncreated. So I put it to you, my friend, I put it to you that you're already a step out of Islam. Like you're already a step out of Islam.
Yeah, maybe. I don't deny it. Maybe. Look, that did I say at the beginning that believing to the uncreated word of God is shooting on your foot?
You did.
I did say that. Now, because you bring it, I'm going to explain why. And why those scholars are working mostly against Islam, in fact. Because they're giving you guys ammunition to fight back. Look, there is in the Quran. There is a verse, there is a surah, a chapter completely about a guy who is going to be cursed and sent to hell. His name is Abu Lahab, right? I can give you the chapter if you want. So this guy is the uncle of the Prophet, and he was fighting the Prophet so hard that God cursed him and said in the Quran that he will send him in the hell. So if the word of God is uncreated and eternal, so it means that this verse was in the Quran before the creation. So by the fact, if he was before the creation, it means that Abu Lahab has nothing to do with him being an enemy of the Prophet. It was already decreed. It was already there. So if he goes to hell, so it means that God is unjust. So God does not have the attribute of fairness or justice. So they're giving you ammunition to find contradictions. So these scholars, they're crazy.
I would agree with you.
That's the truth.
I would agree with you.
Completely nuts.
I would agree with you. Islam doesn't make much sense when you think about it. And let me just say to you, your position actually is much closer to the Christian position than the Islamic position. Because as Christians, when we invite you to Christianity, which I'm inviting you to Christianity tonight, is we believe that the Bible is the words of men inspired by the Spirit of God. We don't believe that the words of the Bible are eternal. We don't believe that they're written on stone tablets in heaven. We don't believe that they existed before the world existed, or even existed before the person that wrote them down existed. We believe that the Bible is the words of men, inspired by the Spirit of God, but those words of men point to an eternal word. And that eternal word is Jesus Christ, who was not a book. He was written about in books, but he himself is not a book. He is a divine person. He is God who takes to himself flesh. He becomes incarnate. This is the one that we seek to follow. It's the one that the Bible testifies to. And he is eternal because the word of God is eternal, but but we don't believe that eternal word is the Bible. We believe it's Jesus Christ who is the eternal word of the Father.
Amen.
I don't deny this, except that if you see in the Quran what God is telling about Mary in chapter 66:12, he said, and she believed in the words of her God in his books. So if the words of her God were the words in his books, it will mean a repetition, because it's already implicit that the words of God are in his books. But when she said she believed in the words of her God, so it means that she witnessed multiple words. One of them is her son, his miraculous birth. But that's not the only word. She's witnessed multiple. I'm going to give you one. He spoke when he was few hours born. He already spoke. It's another word. He made multiple miracles. He made the shape of a bird, and the bird became live. It's another word. All these are out of the nature.
We're slightly getting off the point, though.
Let me finish.
Sean, no, hold on, Sean. We're getting
let me finish, because I didn't. No, wait. I never interrupted you. Just Sean, let me finish.
Sean, listen. I'm happy to concede this point to you.
Okay,
right?
but give me 30 seconds, and I will let you give you 5 minutes. Just 30 seconds. So what I meant,
we're going miles off the point.
I believe that John 1:1 is true when he said that the word. Wait a second. 30 seconds. I didn't finish.
Hold on a second, bro. I just had to mute you for a second, dude. The reason why Bob is interjecting here is because he's trying to redirect you back to the main point that we're getting to. You're kind of going a little off, and I'm sitting here. I've been listening to it. Like, we've been letting you talk the whole time, right? As long as you're on point and on topic, you can talk as much as you want. But Bob is trying to interject and redirect.
I think, Sean. All I'm trying to say is I'm happy to concede the point to you that the Quran is created. So you don't need to convince me. I agree with you. It's created. So we are now in total agreement about that. You've still got to explain why the Quran gets the Trinity wrong.
Right. So go ahead, Sean. You were let me try to unmute you.
Okay. And thank you very much. And I already answered this question. I said, I don't know what it is, and I accept that it got it wrong. As I said that. Okay. So I didn't deny it. I said that like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but what's the consequence of that?
And because you said the word, because you talk about the word, so that was the continuity, and you said that it's related to the topic.
I've conceded this point. You don't need to go over it again. I'm happy to agree with you. The Quran is a created book. We are in 100%
Yeah, but I'm saying why Jesus is the word doesn't mean it's divine. That's what I'm saying.
So the consequence. What's the consequence of the Quran getting the description of the Trinity wrong?
What's the consequence? There's no consequence. I don't see any consequence.
Well, here's a consequence. Does the Quran state that if this were from any other than Allah, that we would find contradictions therein or errors therein?
Yes.
Right. So if I found an error in the Quran, what's the consequence?
So it just means that he got it wrong. So
it would mean that the Quran is not from Allah.
But as I said before, I said, is there a possibility that maybe there was a cult believing that Mary was having a divine power? And you said yes. You said yes.
No.
There was a certain time.
So no, I didn't say that. Look, you've got to evidence. You've got to evidence. Like people have got to evidence the fact that they're claiming that there was a group that believed Mary to be God at the time of Muhammad. Now you've got to evidence that, and then you've got to. But the point is that even if such a group existed, they wouldn't be Christians. But the Quran is addressing Christians.
But maybe they were calling themselves Christians. You said they are not Christians, but were they calling themselves Christians or not? I don't know.
This is
the Ahmadiyya or the Ahmadiyya. There's lots of Muslims, Sean, that would say you're not a Muslim.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't care. I am a Muslim, but believe me, every time I said to Muslim people, go to Quran, don't listen only to scholars, they tell me you are not a real Muslim. For them, the scholars are the scriptures, not the Quran itself. So what?
No worries. Do you reject the hadith? No worries. Do you reject the hadiths?
I reject the hadith when it contradicts the Quran, but I think that the hadith, when it doesn't contradict the Quran, it can be true.
Let me point out another error to you in the Quran and see what you think about this one. Okay, so if you come with me to Surah 33:4.
33:4, yeah. Let me see.
This is really interesting. If the Quran is not from Allah, we would find errors and contradictions in it.
Which passage is that one, bro? You're reading?
Yeah, yes. The 33:4, yeah.
So, in 33:4, it reads, never did Allah make two hearts inside, or I've given the wrong reference here. Never did Allah make two hearts inside any man's body, nor did he ever make your spouses, whom you reject and compare to your mothers, backs into your actual mothers, nor did he make your adopted sons your actual sons. That is your saying coming out of your mouths, and Allah speaks the truth, and he guides to the way. So, Sean, what do you get from that verse?
You tell me.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I get from it. I get from it what Ibn Kathir gets from it, and what Qabus bin Abi Zaybin gets from it. So I'm going to read a hadith, book 47, hadith 251. Okay, now this is a Jami at-Tirmidhi, in Jami at-Tirmidhi 3199. This is what he says. Qabus bin Abi Zabyan narrated to us that his father narrated to him. He said, we said to Ibn Abbas, what is the meaning of the saying of Allah the Mighty and Sublime? Allah has not made for any man two hearts inside his body. He said, the Prophet of Allah stood one day for Salat. When he was unsure regarding how much he had prayed, the hypocrites who prayed with him said, don't you see that he has two hearts, a heart with you and another with them? So Allah revealed, Allah has not made for any man two hearts inside his body. Now, what do you get from that?
That a man does not have two hearts.
That a man does not have two hearts. I agree. Yeah. That is what it's saying. And Ibn Kathir agrees with you. So let me read what Ibn Kathir says about this. Allah discusses ideas and theoretical matters. He gives tangible example. One man cannot have two hearts in his body, and a man's wife does not become his mother if he says the words of zihar to her. You are to me like the back of my mother. By the same token, an adopted child does not become the son of the man who adopts him and calls him his son. Another scholar, Wahidi, says this. Asbab al-Nuzul by al-Wahidi, this is the book. Allah hath not assigned unto any man two hearts within his body. This verse was revealed about Jamil ibn Ma'mar al-Fihri, who was a sensible man who memorized whatever he heard. The Quraysh said he could not have memorized all these things unless he had two hearts. Labib used to say, I have two hearts, and my perception by means of either one of them is better than the perception of Muhammad. When the Battle of Badr took place and the idolaters were defeated, Abu Sufyan met Jamil ibn Ma'mar, who had accompanied the idolaters. Jamil was wearing one shoe and holding the other shoe in his hand. Abu Sufyan asked him, what is the state of the people? He said, they are defeated. Abu Sufyan asked him again, but why are you wearing one shoe and holding the other in your hand? Jamil said, I thought I was wearing both shoes. On that day, people knew that he would not have forgotten his shoe in his hand if he really had two hearts. Hath he made those whom ye claim to be your sons 33-34. This verse was revealed about Zayd ibn Haritha. He was a slave of the messenger of Allah. Allah bless him and give him peace. But he freed him and adopted him before he was sent as a prophet. So that's two scholars now who talk about two hearts. I'll give you another commentator, Jalal. Al-Jalalain said this.
I understood. Your
point. Okay. So my point is, here's the error, right?
Okay.
There are people born with two hearts.
No.
There are yes, there are co-joined twins. There are co-joined twins, and they have one body and two hearts. The Quran is just flat out wrong.
Okay, you are talking about co-joining bronze. If you're talking them as one person,
they're one body.
Okay,
and they have two.
Do they have two brains?
Some do, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but they have two hearts, but they have one body.
Yeah, this is really, really specific, because if you have two brains, even you have the same body, I'll leave the science tell me if are the same or not. I leave the science. I don't know. This I can see to you. I have no idea. I cannot answer to this. I'm not scientific. I cannot say yes or no. But
well, I am.
Wait a second. You just mentioned this verse, the number 33:4. But there's something inside this verse that struck me. He said, God didn't make a male has two hearts. And then he's talking about, and he didn't make your spouse, your wives. He's talking of females here. Do you know why he said the male, not the female?
About my issue is about the two hearts. That's why.
Yes, it's the same thing. Because a woman can have two hearts inside her. Because when she has a baby, she has her heart in the baby. That's why he's quoting the male.
Yeah, but that's not what
saying.
We're talking about,
he's not saying a human. He's saying a male.
We're not talking about that.
Yeah, you're talking about two hearts. I'm just talking about the two hearts.
Yes.
Was your question the two hearts or no?
So in co-joined twins, you're not talking about pregnancy.
I'm not talking about a scholar. I'm saying what the Quran is saying. You're going to a scholar, which is
Sean,
which
we're not
giving his opinion.
Sean, we aren't talking about pregnancy. Yeah, that's a normal situation, right?
Yes, which I'm saying that's why he said male. He didn't say female.
Sean, we're not talking about pregnancy. We're talking about cardiac abnormalities that we can find examples of. So I'm going to read from a study published in the National Library of Medicine in Biotechnology Information, or the NIH. Okay, and it's a study, a cardiovascular system in co-joined twins, and it was an analysis of 14 cases in Korea. Listen to what they said. A new classification of cardiovascular system in co-joined twins is introduced. A special effort has been made to analyze the degree of fusion and symmetry of hearts and great vessels based on 14 pairs of co-joined twins. The degree of cardiovascular union of the twins is classified into 5 types. Cases with no vascular union in cardiac aortic and inferior vena cava levels were grouped into type 1. 4 cases. Cases with separate hearts, did you get that? With separate hearts and union between aortas or inferior venae cavae were grouped into type 2, 3 cases. Cardiac fusion at the arterial level was grouped into type 3, 3 cases. All of the 3 cases showed fusion between right atria, subtype ilia, and theoretical fusion between the left atria, or between the left and the right atria is put into subtype 3b. The type 4 represents fusion of both atria and ventricle, regardless of the number of the chambers, in 3 cases, and type 5 represents single heart in one of the twins, 1 case. So in other words, we have cases where there is a single body and there are 2 hearts. The Quran is just wrong. We're not talking about pregnancy. So that's just a red herring.
Do they have?
The fact is, the Quran is saying one thing, and medical studies are demonstrating the opposite.
I'm not scientific, man. I cannot say you what the study is saying. We're going astray here. I'm not scientific. Maybe they're right. I'm just saying, do they have 2 brains? The question is, those twins, do they have 2 brains or 1 brain?
Yeah, they have 2 brains.
So I let the science judge.
In most cases, it's not clear.
Okay, I let the science judge if they are 2 people or 1 body. Okay, if they're 2 or 1, because when you have 2 brains.
But they have 1 body.
They have 1 body. I know, but the Quran does not talk about the body. It's talking about the male.
That's why they're co-joined.
That verse that's talking about the male. It's not talking about body. It said rajul, which means a male. It
literally says 1 man's body.
No, it's not to say. This says rajul, which means a male. I speak Arabic. It's my language, by the way.
Great stuff.
So I'm sorry with you to disagree on that point. Yeah. If you want to go to the science, you will beat me. I concede that you know better than me. I'm not scientific about that. The only thing what what I want to say, this verse does not show that there is a contradiction. In fact, if he said a human being don't have two hearts, that would be a contradiction, because a woman can have two hearts inside of her, because he said fijofe, inside of her, because she has her heart and the baby has a heart. But he said the male. So it means that here the Quran didn't make a contradiction for me. If you go to the twins and scientific proof that twins have two brains, they're same body, blah, blah, that's not what the verse is talking about. It's talking about a male. So no, I'm sorry, I cannot concede that, because that's not what it says.
I think you're stretching, Sean. The Quran is very clear, and it's very clear because what it was saying, and this is why I read the commentators. I'll just read the last two of the commentators connected to this.
Yes, passage. But you already read them. But I don't agree with
the last
them.
Two. I didn't finish the last.
Darn
two.
you, Bob, reading those guys that are against Islam.
Yeah. So this is Abbas in Tanwir al-Mikbas min Tafsir ibn Abbas. Allah hath not assigned unto any man two hearts within his one body. This was revealed about Abu Mamir Jamil ibn Asad, who was called the one with two hearts because of his measured speech. And Jalal al-Jalalain said, God has not placed two hearts inside any man. This was revealed in order to refute those disbelievers who said that they had two hearts within which they could reason better than Muhammad's single mind. And so the reality is that the interpreters of the Quran are agreeing with the Quran in the Quran's correction of the ignorance of the pagans that believe that you could have two hearts in one body. But the thing is, the Quran is wrong, because co-joined twins are one body with two hearts.
Yeah, but are they two persons? Because the verse does not say the body. Do you want me to read the English what it said? Allah has not made for a man two hearts in his interior.
So if you're a co-joined twin, and you've got two hearts in your one chest, how many hearts have you got?
But are they one man? They have two brains.
They're two persons with one body and two hearts.
About the male. Okay,
so that's two people with two hearts.
Thank you. Two persons.
Did you get that, Sean?
Yeah, I get that.
Two people with two hearts. Did you get that? I'll say it again. Yeah. Two people with two hearts.
Yes, two. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, two people with two hearts.
Are there one man with two hearts?
If you're going off their mind, they each have two hearts.
Thank you. You're making my point. They're two
in their
men,
one
two
body,
persons.
which is not supposed to be the case according to the Quran.
He's not talking about a body. He's talking about a male. God said Allah has not made for a male two hearts in his interior.
I think you're just going off some random tangent about pregnancy. It's got nothing to do with the point I'm making.
No, I understood the point. I said, are they two persons or one person? You said two, but two are twins with two hearts.
Each person
I agree with that. I agree with that one.
They're not twins.
Look, you're not
hearing
that. You're not hearing it, Sean. So with conjoined twins, you have a person that has two hearts because he's sharing a body with a twin, so he has two hearts
in the one body.
I understood.
Man. So that's two persons with one body and two hearts.
Exactly what the verse is saying.
It's saying that you can't have two hearts in one body.
No, that's not what it said. I'm going to repeat. Allah has not made for a male two hearts in his interior.
The gender is irrelevant.
Is he talking about the body here?
Co-joined twins.
I don't understand. I'm telling you what the verse is saying.
The issue about pregnancy is not under discussion. No one is accusing the Quran of misunderstanding pregnancy.
I'm not talking about pregnancy here. Did I speak about pregnancy in the last 2 minutes?
Because you're trying to make it just about men.
Yeah,
because that's what it says. It's a male. That's what it's not me. Ask anybody. What does it mean, Rajul? It means a male.
Hold on,
because
Sean.
he's talking the voice.
Some of the co-joined twins are probably male.
Yeah, it's repeating. It's repeating. Hold on, fellas.
I agree with that.
So let's move on to another point. Sean.
I actually have another Muslim if you wanna
bring him in.
You cool? All right. Let's bring up Ismaila. Welcome back, man. Maybe you could add to the discussion, get some perspective here.
How are we doing, Ismail? Oh, maybe he's not got his.
Ismaila.
Good evening.
How are we doing, Ismail?
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
Can I just start on a new point for since you both joined us, or do you desperately want to say something about one of the previous points?
Yeah, I just want to start
Just,
on
just
another
really
point.
quick on, sorry, just really quick on the previous point. I got sent an article on NBCnews.com. Man with 2 hearts survives double-sized attack. All right, you got one person, one body survives having 2 hearts.
I mean, it's a very rare
2 hearts
condition.
attacks, or he has 2 hearts. That's what I understand. You said 2 hearts attack.
He has 2 hearts and he survived a double-sized attack.
Okay, he has 2 hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Quran says that's not possible.
I just said, I'll let the science judge.
We've got evidence that it is possible. People have observed it, bro. It's indisputable. The Quran's just flat out wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not saying.
Okay, Ismaila, do you want to say something about one of the previous
what I
points?
said at the beginning?
Yeah,
So I just
let
want to
Ismaila talk for a minute.
Yeah, I want to
Just
say
make a
something
full
differently
conversation.
from what the last speaker was saying.
Go on.
Yeah, so I want to ask about original sin.
Okay.
So I want to know the understanding of the Christian whether the original sin starts right after the fall of man, or sorry, I want to know whether Adam himself was fallible before the fall of him in the garden, or he has, or he began to be fallible after the sin. Was he fallible before the sin, or is it after the sin that he was fallible?
So when God created Adam, he did not create him a being with all the perfections of divinity. He was a perfectly created being insofar as God willed him to be created. But the natural state of man is to have weaknesses. And the natural state of man, as given by God, is that he has free will. And free will requires that he has the ability to make real choices that have real consequences. And so he always had the potentiality before the fall to fall. But he wasn't created in a state of fallenness.
Okay, so if I understand this position, that he has a free will, but do you think that a perfect person can abuse his will by doing something which he knows that same day he's going to die, and yet he went ahead to do that thing? Do you think that's a perfect thing?
It depends. We've got to be clear about what we mean by perfect. Perfect here doesn't mean incapable of fault. Perfect here means that he is created to the end that he is created. He's perfectly suited. So if I create a hammer, the point of me creating a hammer is that I can hit a nail on a head and drive it through wood, right? So long as my hammer does that, I've created a perfect hammer. But my hammer is no good for repairing vases. You know, it's no good for keyhole surgery. So it's not perfect in the sense that it can do everything or avoid every fault. You know, the fact that I've made a hammer means that I've made something heavy, which means that as well as being able to drive nails through wood, it can also smash vases. It's not created to smash vases, but it can smash vases. And so when we say that man is created perfectly, we mean that he's created perfectly so that he can have union and that he can have relationship with God, his creator, to know him and to enjoy him. And all that he needs to do that, he possesses. And so he's perfect to the end to which he is created. But with that perfection comes the possibility of him doing something wrong. And that's what happens at the fall.
Okay, I kind of agree with this answer, but I have discussed this with many Christians, and what they always tell me is that man began to be fallible after the fall, after the sin, after Adam, and that doesn't explain why Adam would sin in the first place. But this answer you gave me kind of like uh make more sense, because Adam couldn't have sinned if he himself was not fallible in the first place. So because some of the Christians say he is not like he is perfect, he is infallible right from the beginning. So I think I kind of agree with this answer that he himself was not like infallible in the first place.
Yeah, you've just got to understand, Ismail. Like lots of Christians are very well-meaning, but that doesn't mean that they're very knowledgeable. You know, lots of Christians, they want to be helpful and they want to give answers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they've studied sufficiently to give answers. One of the problems within the church that I would openly acknowledge is that too many Christians are too eager just to say anything without recognizing the limits of their own knowledge. And I sometimes am guilty of that as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much. This kind of helps. This answer kind of help.
Good. I'm glad it helped, brother. If you've got any other questions, feel free to rock them out. We're here.
Okay. The next question I want to ask is actually about the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 5 to 6, where it says that
both. Wait with us 1 second. Let me just pull it up. Luke chapter 1, verse
5 to 6.
Verse 36.
So verse 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Okay, let's read it. So there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zachariah of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, blameless.
Yeah, so that part that says they were following all the law blamelessly.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, what does that actually mean, that they were following all the law? I don't know, where is that a hyperbole, or is that actually literally like they are following all the law blamelessly, like they are sinless?
Yeah, so there's multiple. There's not one answer to this question. In all honesty, Christians have different understandings of it. Let me just read to you some of the church fathers and what they say. So I'm going to read to you Cornelius of Lapida, and he does like a gathering in of lots of commentators on the. Let me see if I can find a smaller quote, because that one's gigantic. Okay, I'm going to read George Leo Haydock. Oh, actually, hold on. Here, I'll do Ignatius of Antioch. For he, in his harmony with the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, even as the strings are with the harp, and is no less blameless than was Zacharias the priest. That's speaking about Jesus. Irenaeus of Lyon says this. Luke, sorry, bear with me. My computer's trying to be smart and offer me things I don't want it to. Luke also, the follower of the disciple of the apostles, referring to Zacharias and Elizabeth, from whom, according to the promise, John was born, says, and they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord. I'll read George Laydock. Both just, walking without blame, which are called venial faults, but only from such sins as might make them forfeit the grace and favor of God. 3 things are here to be noticed: that good men do keep all God's commandments, which some moderns declare to be impossible; that men are justified not by imputation only of Christ's justice, nor by faith alone. This is a particularly Catholic view and one from the Reformation, but by walking in the commandments. And 3, that keeping and doing the commandments is properly our justification through Jesus Christ. The Greek word dikomata is properly rendered by Catholics justification or commandments, because the keeping of them through Jesus Christ is justification. But our separated brethren purposefully avoid the word against the justification of the Catholics, as one of their leaders in innovation blushes not to advance. So I reject some of what George Haydock says here, but what he's arguing for is that there's a distinction between what we would call venial sin and what we would call mortal sin, which is a biblical distinction. Because in Scripture, in the Epistle of John, it says that not all sins lead to death. And so the position that George is taking, the position that the bit of what he says that I do agree with, is the idea that, or that I believe it, can work with this passage, is that if we think about venial sin as us stumbling as we walk towards God, and mortal sin is when we turn our back towards God and walk away from him. Okay? So this is the difference between a sin that leads to death and one that doesn't. So in all things that don't lead to death, Zacharias is keeping the law. However, so it's like the difference between keeping the word of the law and the spirit of the law. You can keep the letter of the law, but not necessarily keep the spirit of the law. So there was a certain degree to which Zacharias and Elizabeth were keepers of the law and righteous before all people, but there's another passage in Scripture where it says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And so whilst Zacharias and whilst Zacharias and his wife Elizabeth were keeping, as it were, let's say the letter of the law, they would have faltered in the spirit of the law. And so in one sense, they can be said to be keeping the ordinances and the law of God and to be keeping it fully and to be righteous. But in another sense, they can still fall short of the glory of God, because that's what sin is. It is to fall short of the glory of God. And so in one sense, you can keep, in one sense, you can embody to a certain degree the fullness of the law. And in another sense, you can lose the spirit of the law and fall short of the glory of God. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like someone who, let's say someone who did his wudu perfectly and did the movements of salat perfectly. But yet in his heart, when he's praying, he doesn't manage to keep his mind in constant remembrance of Allah. So he's performed the wudu and he does all the motions of salat perfectly, but he hasn't remembered Allah perfectly.
Yeah, and that's possible. That's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. So in one sense, he's kept the Sharia perfectly. He's kept the wudu and the actions perfectly. But in another sense, he hasn't embodied the spirit of Sharia perfectly. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so Zachariah and Elizabeth embodied the letter of the law perfectly. And so to everyone looking at them, they were righteous people. And don't get me wrong, they were righteous people. They're not bad people. They're good people. By every measure of a Jew in the first century, these two people were good people. But there will have been things in their own life where they didn't embody the spirit of the law. And thus they also would have fallen short of the glory of God.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say, guys, I quoted some church fathers straight off the bat, I without you being able to filter them. I don't agree with George Laydock in what he said in his criticism of Reformed theology. I just want to put that on record. Any other questions?
No, I think that's all I have now. I think I'll be taking my leave. Thanks so much.
Ismail, get in touch with me, bro. Drop us an email. Get in touch. Let's talk.
All right.
Yeah, matter of fact, Bob, tell everyone while it's the height of the stream where we can find you, man. A lot of people always associate you with Soko.
Yeah, I am not funded, supported. I am not funded or a part of Soko Films. Soko Films is one thing, and I'm something else. And then at the corner, we join together and we work together. I'm the only channel that I'm supported through is Bob of Speaker's Corner. That's the name of my channel. And under my videos on that channel, you can find the links to my blog where you can support me, or through my Patreon where you can support me. I synergize with JC and Soko Films, but it's a synergy. When we're not the same thing, we don't do the same thing. We're separate entities with separate structures, separate everything, you know. But we kind of synergize. So there you go. Bob of Speaker's Corner.
All right, so for all of you guys that just heard that, please go ahead, support Bob with under his channel. It's Bob of Speaker's Corner. Bob of Speaker's Corner on YouTube. If moderators, you can drop that link in the comments section so that everybody can get there and subscribe if you haven't already, and to also support him through his Patreon as well. You know, because you guys see what he does out there. By the Lord's strength, by the power of the Spirit, is out there all the time, getting actually assaulted by the Muslims out there at the park, man. Actually getting in physical fight. Now out here in California, a lot of people, they're just more chill, not really gonna get into fist fights with the Muslims. They might get heated, right?
Must be the weather.
Might be the weather, man. Might be the weather.
Must be the weather. It's too hot to get het up,
man.
You know. But yeah, like there is violence at the corner, and I do please do pray about it. You know, the police have just kind of washed their hands of the whole situation, which is really dangerous and sad. It's getting to the point where, you know, people don't feel safe. But anyway, let's press on with our critique, because Sean's been very patient.
We got one more Muslim in the back.
Bring him on, and then I'll.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I want to maybe introduce another problem, if that's okay.
All right, let's do it. Let's see how they can probably team up and put their minds together and solve this one.
Okay, so I want to in Surah 36, and reading and like if we pull it up, Surah 36, and if you could read it, God Logic, if you could read it, Surah 36, 38 to 40.
Surah 36, 38 to 40. All right. 36. 38 to 40. All right, let's see what you got up your sleeve, man. Let's see what you got.
You're going to love this one.
All right. It says, and the sun runs on unto a resisting place for him. That is the measuring of the mighty, the wise. And for the moon, we have appointed mansions till she return like an old shriveled palm leaf. It is not for the sun to overtake the moon, nor doth the night outstrip the day. They float each in an orbit.
Right. Okay. So you've just heard the Quran state that the night outstrip the night cannot outstrip the day, that the sun and the moon can't overtake one another. Now, just forgetting for the moment that this reads as geocentric, because it implies that the sun and the moon go to a resting place, which implies that the earth is stationary and the sun and the moon go around the earth.
Right.
Cosmologically speaking, there is no resting place for either the sun or the moon. They don't return to a starting point and never have. But focusing in on that last part where it says that the moon doesn't overtake the sun and the sun doesn't overtake the moon and the night doesn't overtake the day, I just want to read some commentators so people can hear what they're saying. So Abbas in Tanwir al-Mikbas min Tasfir ibn Abbas, I'm sorry for killing the Arabic for all you Arabics.
Terrible, Bob.
I know, right? It is not for this is what he says. It is not for the sun to overtake the moon. It is not proper for the sun to rise where the moon appears, such as it takes away its light, nor doth the night outstrip the day. nor does the night come at the time of the day, such as it eclipses its brightness. They, the sun, the moon, and the planets float each in orbit, revolve, and turn around in orbit. So you heard that clearly state, the commentator clearly state, nor does the night come at a time of the day such as it eclipses its brightness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll just read two more. Jalal in Al-Jalalain says, it does not behoove, it is neither facilitated, nor is it right for the sun to catch up with the moon, and so appear together with it at night, nor may the night outrun the day, and thus it, the night, never arrives before the latter end of each Gulen. It's just loads of brackets. With Al-Shams, the sun, Al-Qamar, the moon, and the Nujum, the stars, is in an orbit, swimming and moving. These celestial bodies are being treated as though they were rational beings. Ibn Kathir, last one, and then my comment. On its fixed courses for a term appointed is that it refers to the fixed courses of location, which is beneath the throne. That's the idea that the sun and the moon have a starting point, or particularly the sun in this case, because the sun goes under the throne of Allah, beyond the earth in that direction. Wherever it goes, it is beneath the throne, it and all of creation, because the throne is the roof of creation, and it is not a sphere as many astronomers claim. Did you hear that? It is not a sphere as many astronomers claim. That's
who is this?
This is Ibn Kathir.
Ibn Kathir.
He's saying that the earth is flat, and he's saying that the sun and the moon go round the earth.
Ibn Kathir.
Ibn Kathir, yes. Rather, it is a dome supported by legs or pillars carried by the angels, and it is above the universe, above the heads of people. When the sun is at its zenith at noon, it is in its closest position to the throne, and when it runs its fourth orbit at the opposite point of its zenith at midnight, it is at its furthest position from the throne. Now, that contradicts the idea that the sun goes under the throne of Allah until it's told to come out again, which is also in the hadiths. At that point, it prostrates and asks for permission to rise, as mentioned in the hadiths. Al-Bukhari recorded that Abu Dar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I was with the Prophet in the masjid at sunset. Now, the point is, what I'm going to ask everybody, what happens at a solar eclipse? And while people are talking about it, maybe GodLogic can find a nice video from YouTube of a solar eclipse. And what happens in a full solar eclipse? Does the night overtake the day? In fact, I might have got a link for you. I'll send it to you in the private chat. So what are people's thoughts? Does the night overtake the day?
Give me 1 second while I fix this microphone.
Yeah, you fix that microphone. Go on, guys. Does the night overtake the day? Does the moon overtake the sun?
You're talking with us or with the people in the chat?
I'm talking to everybody. So yes, you as well.
The question was if the night takes. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the Quran is saying that the night does not overtake the day, right? The moon can't overtake the sun. So my question to you is, what happens in a solar eclipse? And I'm sending to GodLogic.
The solar eclipse is the moon is hiding the sun.
What, sorry?
The moon is hiding the sun, right?
Yeah, the moon is hiding the sun. Does the Quran say that can happen?
If the Quran says that can happen?
Yeah, does the Quran say that the moon can overtake the sun?
You're talking about this verse, specific verse?
Yeah.
Or you're talking, okay. When I read the verse, that's not what it's saying.
Go on, tell me what it's saying.
First of all, he said the sun does not overtake the moon, but he said the night does not go sabiq al-nahar, which means does not go. How to say that the word? Here it's written outstrip the night.
Correct.
Outstrip the day.
Yep.
And for me, he's used two different words for explaining what the sun is overtaking the moon and the day with the night. So he's giving us two different meanings. I'm talking about the verse here.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean? I need to work on it. But the first idea that I see, I don't understand your point so far.
So let me
because here it doesn't deny the eclipse.
One second, because I think it does. Let me explain.
Okay.
And GodLogic, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I've sent you a link. If you could use that link and let everyone watch the solar eclipse.
All right.
Right. And while we're watching that solar eclipse, I'm just going to read what the Quran says, and then you tell me whether it makes sense. Because when I debate Muslims, one of the arguments that they try to get around, when I point out the verses of the Quran that talk about a flat earth, one of the ways that they talk about it is that they try to get around it by saying that the Quran is describing things as they appear, right? So the Quran is describing things as they appear in a way to try and get around the fact that the Quran describes a flat earth. But the point is, here, if we take that logic and we apply it again to this passage, then the Quran is not describing how things appear. Listen. So you play the video and I'll just keep reading this verse over and over again. Are we playing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it says, "It is not for the sun to catch up with the moon, nor does the night outrun the day. Each is traveling in an orbit of their own. It is not for the sun to catch up with the moon, nor does the night outrun the day. It is traveling in an orbit each of its own." The Quran is saying that the sun doesn't catch up with the moon, and the moon doesn't catch up with the sun, and that is what is happening in a solar eclipse, and the night is overtaking the day. Can you look at that screen and honestly say that it wasn't night?
Yes, it was a night.
It wasn't night, so it wasn't dark.
No, it was a night. It was dark, I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. So the Quran is just flat wrong. That's night right there. Because night is just shadow. That's all that's what brings us the night, is the shadow of the earth. So if the shadow of the earth brings us night, then the shadow of the moon also brings us night. It's the same thing.
But that's what you understood. But that's not what I understood from the verse. And you brought 2-3 times. You cited Ibn Abbas.
Mm-hmm.
You said Ibn Abbas 2-3 times. Do you know that Ibn Abbas, when the Prophet died, he was only 13 years old?
Okay.
And he's called the ink of the Quran, which means he's the most cited person in the tafsir.
Mm-hmm.
The number one companion who has been cited in the tafsir is Ibn Abbas, Hibr al-Quran. So it means that when the Prophet died, he was 13. And the Quran has been revealed during 23 years. I don't understand how come this boy has become the ink of the Quran. There's something wrong. Why is not Abu Bakr? Why is not Umar? Why is not the other companions who started from the front? So that's why I doubt completely this narration and this explanation of Ibn Kathir citing Ibn Abbas.
No, I cited multiple commentators on the Quran.
What?
I cited multiple commentators on the Quran.
Yes, I'm talking about this one.
Yeah, Abbas was one of them.
One of them, yeah, and the previous comments, not on this verse, the other verse, you cited also Ibn Abbas.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm saying that for me, I'm not talking about all the Muslim. Ibn Abbas is not reliable.
Sean, you're just adding to the problems of Islam, right? You're just giving yourself more reasons to leave.
In fact, no. In fact, what I'm saying, yeah. In fact, what I'm saying, I don't understand why the Muslims don't read the Quran, why they still rely on doubtful narrations, explanations.
Yeah,
I'm not saying everything is false on the narrations, no, but Ibn Abbas cannot be reliable when the Prophet died. It was only 13. But okay, let's go to the verse. What does it say?
Yeah.
What does it say? He said that the sun, let me read it in English. It's not honorable for the sun to reach the moon. Each one is in its own orbit, right? Does the sun touch the moon in any shape of? No. We agree on that. Okay. Then what he says again? And no, the night cannot outrun the day. Can the night outrun the day?
Well, that's
Because
what happens in an
when
eclipse.
half of the earth is at night.
What's night? Sorry, what's night, Sean?
Okay, the night is when the earth, it's round, it's a sphere. When the sun does not reach half of the earth, the half is on the day and the other half is on the night.
So what happens?
Okay, but let me finish. I don't look. I'm sorry, God Logic, but I let him talk, Bob, like crazy. I never interrupted him.
You did,
and he's very long talking. I mean, it's not short. But me, I say two sentences. He's cutting me. I don't understand.
You have me fair and square by the rule book. Go on, Bob.
Okay. So what I understand the verse, he said that the earth, when there is a night on a part of the earth, there is day on the other part. Can the day outrun the night? So it means that during the night on this part, the day will outrun the night. Impossible. We need to wait for the earth to turn for the day to come. That's how I understood the verse. But apparently the scholar, I'm not talking about you, Bob. Believe me, I am 100% with you. The scholars are doing a very bad job. The commentators are doing a very bad job. I have nothing against you personally. I have against the scholars, not you, because they're giving you ammunition and they're not helping our cause.
They are Islamophobic, the scholars, aren't they?
Exactly. Because
man.
Two things. They said that the Quran is created, which is completely insane.
No, and they said it's not created. They said it's not created.
Yes, uncreated, I said.
Uncreated.
UN.
Okay, which is insane, you're saying, right?
Yes, exactly. They say that it's not created, which is completely insane. They say the speech of God is eternal. I don't understand what it means. Okay. And they cite Ibn Abbas, who is only 13 years old when the Prophet died, all the time. And they call him the ink of the Quran, which means he's the most cited companion of the Prophet, which is another thing insane. And I can bring you many things. So for me, if we want to talk, we can talk about the Quran. If you want to go to the Hadith, some are true and some are made up. And I don't understand why the Muslim, they take the Quran as the criteria to say that the Bible is corrupted, but they don't take the Quran as a criteria to say the Hadith is corrupted.
Hey, you cooking right now.
What can I say?
You cooking right now.
Because I heard God Logic in his speeches with Muslims, and most of the time he's right. The others leave. I mean, the problem with the Muslim is that they don't read the Quran. Look, I made the test myself. I speak Arabic. My mother tongue was Arabic. When I was in the womb of my mother was talking to me in Arabic. And you see, only 15% of Muslim people have the Arabic as the first language. But even the what?
Sure. Can we just come back to this point, which is about
wait before you go, Bob? Sorry, because Prince is a Muslim here. Prince, do you agree with you on the same page as Sean or what?
No, I don't. I am right now even thinking that Sean is not even a Muslim. Like I'm seriously,
I know.
doubting his standpoint. He's, I don't know, whatever he's saying, some things which are totally out of line. Like this is not the stance of a believer. Like seriously, like he's criticizing like Ibn Abbas, like why we take him as one of the great scholars and one of the best muhaddithin is obviously because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ prayed for him, like Allah, please teach him the Quran. So obviously that's why we take him as like a great scholar. Like I don't know what is weird in that. Like if a prophet has prayed for a person that he understands a book full of signs, then it's normal. Like you're going to like take him as a, you know, as the ink or however you said. So I don't know. Like you're saying a lot of stuff which which is very like weird to me to hear from a, like, if he says he's a Muslim, he may be. I'm not no one to judge, but it doesn't sound like it if he is saying. Plus, what he said about yes.
Can I just chuck into this, because Muslims often say to us that Jesus was a Muslim because he believed in one God and he wanted to submit his life
Yes.
to Allah. So let me ask Sean: do you believe in one God and do you submit your will to Allah?
Yes, but
So he's a Muslim.
Jesus.
No, I don't. I didn't say he is. I am not saying, but I'm saying his faith is weak because of the
My
things
faith
he's
is
saying.
weak. Okay. Okay.
Right.
yes.
I think we should let
Yeah,
Sean
he can.
reply.
Look. I can say, yeah, Prince. I'm okay with you. No problem. You. My faith is weak in your point of view, but I read the Quran and I speak the language.
But it's not a book to be like read as a story. You know, it's a book to be understood.
Yeah,
So
but do
there's
you
no-
know that the
there's no-
Quran is say it's a detailed explanation? How come I need to rely on somebody else when the book by itself says it's a
Woo,
detailed
Sean, you
explanation?
cooking right now.
Come on, it's a
Wait,
contradiction.
wait, I didn't
Look,
get
I don't
you.
want to fight another Muslim.
What did you say?
You see, I don't want to fight another Muslim.
No, I'm
Another
not
Muslim is my
fighting you.
brother.
I'm
What
seriously
I
not
want to
fighting you.
say is that Bob is bringing scholars to defend his point of view. What I'm saying, the Quran contradicts what those scholars are saying. It doesn't say what he said.
Brother,
The scholar.
scholars
The
are
verse
not
is saying something
the-
logical and easily comprehended. But the scholars, in his commentary, he said something against the logic. So yes,
Okay.
I have to be truthful and honest. I said, Bob, you're right. If you rely on the scholars and the poor translation in English that we have of the Quran is full of contradictions. But if you go the right way, understood the
Nauzubillah.
wordings as they meant 1400 years ago, not the Arabic of today, you will see that there is much less contradiction than you think. That's all what I want to say. And by the way, you didn't let me finish last time. I have the word. I believe in John 1:1 when he says, in the beginning was the word, because the word is miracle of creation and has nothing to do with divinity. In the beginning was the word, and after that, the word became flesh. Is true. The word, because Jesus is the word, became flesh. But it's not divine. There's nothing about divinity. It's coherent with the Quran.
So
That's,
close.
that's what you muted me. You muted me. If you want, and got logic. By the way, did you find the explanation of a kitab? You said that
Brother.
that God has taught Jesus.
Wait,
a
we
kitab,
can't go
the
too
book,
long, Prince. We gotta let
the
Prince jump in
wisdom,
at some point.
Wait, guys. I'm going to be leaving very shortly, so you
Sorry,
guys
Bob.
can hash it out. I do felt it was important to let Sean reply to Prince because Prince was saying, making comments about Sean. But here's my point: is that we're pointing out that there are errors in the Quran. So I've given 3. You know, and
Brother, it's just your miss.
But we don't agree with the errors that you said.
There is
Yeah,
Well,
Because
I
the
mean,
Quran
you
doesn't
read
say
the two
that.
of them.
themselves whether I've made a case. We got the Trinity error. We've
You
got
agreed with
the
No, I
error.
didn't agree with that. I said
No, brother,
maybe there
even
is
the
a
heart
thought,
error,
and he said
the
yes, there
thing-
We've got
was
the heart error,
before
and now we've got the.
Mary was
Sean,
Can she
let
be
someone else
divine
speak.
somehow? Has a
Seriously,
power
you
divine?
got to
He
let
said
someone else
yes.
speak,
Sean.
Sean,
Sorry.
calm down.
I'm going to
Right.
mute myself.
Okay. Bless
Brother,
your heart.
it's
You're a
not-
good
it's
man,
not-
Sean. I like
it's
you.
not an error.
Right?
Like,
And-
first
and,
of all, you need.
I want to invite both of you guys to get in touch with me to keep up the conversation long after this stream is finished. But my point to you is that the Quran is making a statement, and it is saying that the sun can't catch up with the moon, and nor does the night outrun the day. Now the thing is, night is simply the absence of sunlight. Now we describe night because the earth turns away, rotates, and we that are in the night don't have access to the sunlight because we're on the wrong side of the earth. We're in the shadow of sunlight. A solar eclipse, that is exactly what happens. You are in the shadow of sunlight. And as you saw by the video, night overtook the day quite literally. You saw in the video, it became night. If you didn't know it was a solar eclipse that you were looking at, you would not have known that it wasn't nighttime. Like,
Brother.
you would have assumed that it was nighttime because it looks, sounds, feels like. During the solar eclipse, birds go back to bed because they think it's nighttime. Like the whole of nature starts behaving like it's nighttime, you know. So the fact is, the Quran is saying that night can't outstrip the day, and a solar eclipse shows that it can outstrip the day.
Okay. So, I want to first, because it was it was not a good representation of the other things as well. Like if you're not understanding what God is trying to convey to you, it's not up to God. It's obviously it's a book of science, right? So you have to understand what is the purpose of this message that he's telling you. Same goes with the one with the two hearts, the thing that you mentioned, there is a man with two hearts and all of that. Like, you have to understand what the verse is talking about. You don't have to like you explained a passage of the Bible, right? Like you said, this is how they understood this, like the church father, or however you explained it. Same goes with the Quran, with that verse. Same way, you're talking, it's saying Allah has not made for any man two hearts within him. Like, you're not reading what has written before it, so you will not understand what is going about, like in the whole passages. So this way you will just say oh, it said Allah has not made a man of two hearts. Look, here's a man of two hearts. Now this is a lie. Doesn't work like that, my friend. Like, if I can explain that passage, how actually it's understood, and how it actually, because you have to, it's a book of guidance, so you have to understand what the guidance in this message is. So what Allah is trying to guide us to. So basically, in this passage, all is saying to the Prophet is that the Prophet is there to told not to be compliant to the disbelievers and the hypocrites, but to trust Allah alone. Basically, because the same heart cannot simultaneously entertain love for Allah and love for his enemies. That's what this means. It doesn't mean anything else. If you read the verses before it, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about because you just read that verse. So if you read 33:1 and 32, you will understand where this is coming from. You cannot just take it out of context like this and try to portray it like it's a scientific, I don't know, error or something like this. It's totally not. It's talking about a deeper meaning than having two hearts or three hearts or four hearts. That's so irrelevant to God. God can
do you believe
much
that
more than
do you believe that scientific errors are not, they don't disprove Islam? Like the argument of
understand whether this is a
bad.
scientific message to us, or is this a divine message to us to
Right.
understand?
So you're saying
what
it's
he's
not a book
meaning.
of science. It's not. It shouldn't.
No,
be.
there's no doubt that there are things of science that we can get from it. There is no doubt in it, but some of the things in the absolute, it's a book to guide us, to give us, obviously is trying to give us a message, a spiritual message. So
Can I play something for you guys?
Can I just come back on that? Because Prince, I'm not, the reality is that pagans at the time of Muhammad had a belief that you could literally have two hearts inside your body, right? That was their belief in the time of ignorance. The Quran is speaking to that belief and correcting that belief.
it's not.
Yes,
really
it is.
not.
No, it is, and I'm sorry, but that's not only my opinion.
Well, you're not understanding when these verses were revealed to the Prophet.
No, hold on one second.
It had a meaning.
Let me finish my point,
It wasn't
Prince.
revealed.
Let me finish my point, Prince.
Yeah, you can.
Because this isn't just my opinion, right? Let me read to you. Let me read to you Ibn Kathir. Okay? Let me read what he says. Okay? And what others say. So Al-Jalalain said, God has not placed two hearts inside any man, was revealed in order to refute those who disbelievers who said that they each had two hearts with which they could reason better than Muhammad's single mind. So they believed that the heart was a kind of mind, that it was a thing that could think, Ibn Kathir said, before Allah discusses ideas and theoretical matters, he gives tangible examples. One man cannot have two hearts in his body. That's a literal statement. That's how Ibn Kathir is reading it. One man cannot have two hearts in his body, and a man's wife does not become his mother if he says the words of Zihar to her. You are to me like the back of my mother. By the same token, an adopted child does not become the son of the man who adopts him and calls him his son. So it's taking these statements at face value. That's what Ibn Kathir is doing. Wahidi in Asab, and forgive me for mispronouncing the Arabic.
Asbab al-Nuzul.
Yes, Al-Wahid, right? He says this verse was revealed about Jamil ibn Mamar al-Fikhri, who was a sensible man who memorized whatever he heard. The Quraysh said he could not have memorized all these things unless he had two hearts. It was a pagan belief that if that you could have two hearts, two centers of consciousness, two means by which to think. And the Quran is correcting this ignorance, or at least what it thought was ignorance. But the reality is, through the study of co-joined twins, we recognize that the Quran is flat out wrong.
Didn't even take conjoined twins, Bob. We remember showed an example where a man had.
No, but again, it's not like having two hearts. Having two hearts doesn't is really like, if you don't understand the message, then you can say it's like a man with two hearts is superior. Like what you said, a heart has its own mind, and
that's what the Muslim commentator said.
No. Therefore, he's reasoning better than the Prophet. Like, this is so. You have to understand the relevant. What you're saying about Muslim scholars.
Would you say that the scholars' prints are wrong in their understanding that this is actual physical thing that they're talking about, something tangible, really talking about having two physical hearts?
The scholars of Islam don't have to be 100% like correct on everything in their understanding of these verses, or in the understanding of what the divine message is. It's in the end, it's a divine message. It's a revelation to the Prophet.
Okay. So just to be fair to Bob, because he did, as you brought up, you mentioned how he gave an understanding from church fathers, how they understood certain passages. And so notice how he's not coming here with an ad hoc interpretation, right? He's going to the scholars of Islam and seeing how they interpreted it to back up, like, yes, the understanding was that it was a actual physical, literal thing that they're talking about, having two hearts. So this isn't Bob saying, coming with this, understanding out of nowhere. He's getting it from the Islamic scholars.
I understand he's coming with that stance of reading it, but in the end, you have to understand. If you cannot take it out of context, like what you read before it becomes clear what it's talking about. Like literally one or two verses before it, then you understand why would God suddenly say. Otherwise, if you take it in the meaning you're saying, the it doesn't make sense. It's not just going to talk about suddenly about, and God has not made a man of two hearts. Like it doesn't fit with everything what's been said. Like it's like you have to read it like from top till bottom. So you cannot
I think this is a good place to plug this in here, and we're gonna wrap up soon. We're almost at the 2-hour mark, so we're gonna wrap up, and Bob said he has to go.
I can give you until 15:15, but no later.
Okay. Sorry?
Well, usually
until 15:15, but no later.
2 hours is long.
Okay.
You've done some pretty good work here. I'm gonna play this because I think this is pretty relevant to what we've been talking about, Bob, here.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so let's see what
what's going on.
Let's see what Ali does. Are you guys for Sean and Prince? You guys familiar with Ali Dawah?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with him. No.
Okay, well he's pretty well known in the Muslim Dawah world. This is what
he's the next clown Zakir Naik character.
Yeah, exactly. Let me make sure the volume's up.
Read it again very carefully. The scientific miracles argument in the Quran got debunked.
He doubles. Sorry, I didn't know I was popping up in this video.
That's a good shot of you, bro.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. But Ali Dawah has gotten to the point where he's come and said that this argument for the Quran from the scientific perspective, these scientific miracles in the Quran, this argument has been debunked. You know, it's not a good argument to use. There's too many problems and holes in it, and it's just it's you can't defend it. You know. So I just thought that was relevant here. Bob, your thoughts on what Prince was saying and Ali Dawah and, you know, this whole thing?
Well, I think that Prince is moving away from the traditional interpretation of the text because he has to, because that's the only way he can save the Quran from an error, is to take the very clear prima facie factual statement that the Quran is making, that the traditional commentators took from the Quran, and he's turning it into just a spiritual thing. You know, like
because the next part of the verse.
Don't get me wrong.
Have you read the whole 33:4? Have you read the whole verse, or have you only read that line?
Yeah, I've read the verses before and after, but
forget what comes before. Have you even read the whole 33:4? Have you or
I have read the whole of the Quran as translated in English.
Yes, and so have you, like, if you even go on even the next sentences, the next 2 or 3 sentences, it becomes like it's even more clear what it's talking about. And if you go to the next verse,
no, hold on, Prince, you're struggling there, because the verse itself, the verse itself. Let me just go back to it. Where is it? Bear with us 1 second while I get to it. Right, the verse itself. Okay, like I'm going to read from a hadith, because you obviously use the hadiths to interpret the Quran. Right, Qabus bin Abi Zaybin narrated to us that his father narrated to him. He said, "We said to Ibn Abbas, what is the meaning of the saying that Allah the Mighty and the Sublime, Allah has not made for any man 2 hearts inside the one body?" He said, the Prophet of Allah stood one day for Salat. When he was unsure regarding how much he had prayed, the hypocrites who prayed with him said, "Don't you see that he has 2 hearts, a heart with you and another with them?" So Allah revealed, Allah has not made, let me finish, Prince. Allah has not made for any man 2 hearts inside his one body. So in other words, the pagans believed that Muhammad had 2 hearts.
Bro, like, did you
and
you
Allah
literally read it and you
belief.
and you said the opposite? Like God is telling the Prophet, like,
what's he telling him?
He's telling him that the Prophet is there told in this verse that you don't have to be compliant to the disbelievers and the hypocrites, but to trust in Allah alone, because the same heart cannot simultaneously entertain like love for Allah and love for his enemies. So basically, a God,
the correction.
If you say a person, you have
the correction is being given to the pagans who accuse Muhammad of having 2 hearts, and so they believed that a person could have 2 hearts. This is not my
read the hadith. Literally, it said in the first sentence. You should have understood it. Like in the first sentence,
the first sentence is Qabus bin Zaybin narrated to us.
I mean, is obviously the first sentence
to him. He said, "We said to Ibn Abbas, what is the meaning of the saying of Allah the Mighty, the Sublime?" That's a question. That's you know. There's
I mean the first sentence of the response, like the first sentence when he is talking, like say that again, please.
Yeah. So he said, the Prophet of Allah stood one day for Salat. When he was unsure regarding how much he had prayed, the hypocrite who prayed with him said,
"Yes,
don't you see he has 2 hearts? A heart with you and another with them."
Exactly.
So
no, please.
Yeah, no, hold on one second. I'm going to finish. 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 I'm going to finish.
If you don't understand that,
I'm going to finish.
You're making your own narrative now.
I'm going to finish. I'm going to
It's
finish.
okay. You can go on. You can go on.
Yeah, I'm going to finish. Right. So then you have Abbas, you have Jalal, and you have Wahidi, and you have Ibn Kathir, and they all
Brother, you know that what you just read has
they all assert the idea that in the
Prince.
time of ignorance,
Prince, you gotta
people
let him finish.
believed that there were two hearts.
Read that last sentence again, Bob, because there was an interruption.
So I was just saying that, you know, the commentators, Abbas, Jalal, and Wahidi and Kathir all assert that in the time of ignorance, people believed that a person could have two hearts. And Allah is correcting that belief.
Brother, where are you? What you're reading a hadith, literally, right? And it's giving you the same meaning as I gave you without even reading that hadith, right? And now you're going on about, but look what they said. Like, brother, it's Allah is clearly saying you don't, your heart doesn't have to be like both ways, because a man's heart cannot be in both ways, right? It cannot be simultaneously with people who are your enemy and who people that have love for Allah. So basically it's talking about hypocrites and disbelievers. So that's what he is being told. You don't have to be compliant with these people. That is a guide, and that is a message for us. We can take that as a message that don't comply or don't engage yourself with hypocrites, because you don't know what they are actually wanting, like, because they had you don't know, because your enemy, like a person, literally he cannot simultaneously love you and be your enemy. It's a contradiction.
Bro, I'm not, like, the point is the
Brother,
reason
but you're giving it a
why
a
a person,
which it
the
doesn't
reason
mean.
why the pagans believed that Muhammad could do that was because they believed that he had two hearts. You're doing a modernist, you're doing a historical exegesis. You're inserting our knowledge, our assumed knowledge today back into the past. You're assuming that pagan Arabs were as scientific as we are, and therefore the only interpretation of this passage is the more metaphorical one.
I'm not saying that.
They were pig ignorant. They believed that human beings could have two hearts, literally.
Okay, good. I'm not saying, but that doesn't mean that God meant that. Like, literally, again, you're saying it the way that I am wanting to say it. It doesn't mean if the pagans or whoever, which Arab at that time believed it to be like people cannot have two hearts. It doesn't mean that is what Allah meant with his message. The one who had to understand this was the Prophet. He did understood this. Now, obviously, we as humans have to also understand the message. If people back then didn't totally grasp the message, you cannot say God was wrong here, because we know what he meant with this. It was a divine guidance, and we take the divine guidance. We don't go on and say, you look at this is wrong, this is wrong. You have to obviously understand that it can be a human error, that we can be the ones that don't understand the message, but it's not that God is at fault, that he is not conveying us the right message. Obviously, you have to interpret the book like correctly. It's
and I'm saying that
it's very what I'm saying is it's very stupid to think that, but basically what I'm saying is it's very stupid to think that no, look, we have found a contradiction, whilst not thinking maybe we are wrong in understanding the verse. That's all I'm saying. Like, the real we have to obviously seek for the meaning of the verse and not go for I don't know, look, God is wrong. Like it doesn't make sense, please. Like, and even if you find something which says, oh, this contradicts, that means that you still haven't understood the message. That's basically, and that's what I was saying with Sean. Like, it's not about you're saying like, oh, look, this can be wrong. No, brother, it's just your comprehension that hasn't reached that level yet. And obviously people at that time maybe also didn't understand, but we don't say that they are like misguided or like that was their knowledge. That's what they understood. And it's okay. Like, but you cannot put it on to God like he is wrong with saying this. Obviously not. So that's
no, I think you can actually. I think that the reality is that if in the time of ignorance pagans believed that a human being really could have two hearts, and then the
Yes.
Quran is saying a man can't have two hearts, then you could interpret the Quran as correcting a pagan belief.
You can
And
think
saying-
it. You can.
Yeah.
You can think
Yes.
it. But
Thank
that's
you.
still not the divine
Yes.
message.
And the point is, so here's the thing that you need to do now, Prince, right? Because me and you are not going to settle this in 2 minutes. We're not going to settle this in a minute. You need to go away and you need to investigate for yourself that in the time of Jahiliyyah, in the time of ignorance, did the pagans actually believe that human beings could have two hearts?
Okay, they maybe
If
did,
I'm correct, and they did, then that means that my understanding of the Quran is a valid understanding. It's correcting a belief.
but it's not when someone has
pagans
corrected you. Oh, but
You haven't corrected me. You've just asserted something. Can
Okay,
you
no,
prove to
maybe
me?
not
Can you
I'm not
prove to
correct.
me?
Yes.
Can you show to
Yes,
me
what?
that pagans had a metaphorical understanding of the idea of two hearts, as you're suggesting?
I'm saying even if they did not understand it that way, if they understood it this way, that a man cannot have two hearts, and that is what satisfied their belief in God, that's up to them. But we, as like anyone, you don't have to be even a Muslim. When you're reading the Quran, you have to, if you think you found, if the book says it has no contradictions, it comes from Allah, and you say I have found a contradiction, you have to think. A lot of times it's maybe in your own knowledge that you haven't even yet comprehended what is true or what is not, or what is you haven't even understood it. It's not that the book is wrong, it's just the way you have taken it is wrong, basically. Because otherwise, like if you're going to take things no one is saying take everything which is said literal. Like obviously the prophet is being called the father of the believers. That doesn't mean he's my father. Obviously it's a spiritual meaning, right? So
I'm sorry, but the
you have-
commentators that I've quoted to you are doing exactly that.
yes, okay, look, if a commentator does it, then the commentator, that's what he maybe taught at that time, and it's where his knowledge was basically.
I'll just read again Wahidi's words. The Quraysh said, so who's the Quraysh? The Quraysh
Yes.
said he could not have memorized all these things unless he had two hearts. And Labib used to say, I have two hearts, and my perception by means of either one of them is better than the perception of Muhammad. So these are the statements of pagans. They're saying they have two hearts.
Good. And is it understood? Okay. Do you know for a fact that if I'm just like going like your way, right? Do you know for a fact that they're taking the literal meaning of two hearts?
So how would you understand these words?
No, maybe they are talking about like two hearts in the way that I'm explaining to you. How can
So
you
go
know
on, then
for sure
you make it work. The Quraysh said he could not have memorized all these things unless he had two hearts. They're talking about memory.
Yes.
They're saying he has
go on.
memory because he has two hearts.
Okay, go on.
Right. So the thing is, if you read literature from the past, right,
Brother,
it's a common thing to speak about the heart as a place where people think, right? Because back in the ancient world, they weren't scientific, bro. They did believe that in your heart you thought. That was a thing.
Yes.
Right? In lots of cultures, right around the region, not just in pagan Arabia, but all over the place. People had this concept that you thought with your heart. Why? Because when something happens, what happens? Your heart jumps. You know, you feel sad, your heart feels sad. You feel happy, your heart beats faster. And so people made the connection between thought and heart in culture, right? And so in pagan Arabia, they had a particular view, which was that people of certain temperaments,
I understand what you're
memory
saying.
had two hearts, literally.
Good. I understand once again, I understand what you're saying, but if you're taking a quote from the Quran, and have you read 33:1?
I've already said I've read the entire Quran in English.
Exactly. It says, "O Prophet, keep your duty to Allah
He said
And
exactly.
you do not have to obey you do not have to obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites. The disbelievers and the hypocrites. Surely Allah is ever knowing and wise. So it's already talking about that. Because why? Because obviously revelation came whenever Allah had to tell the prophet something, what he has to do. That no, you don't have to, because even he was even with them, he was good. But Allah said that no, you don't have to. Your duty is only to listen to me, as every servant of Allah is, right? So you don't have to obey them, and you do not have to follow them. Basically, you only have to follow me. And then he goes on to say, Allah has not made any of these men, like for any man, two hearts within him. So obviously you have to understand that he's talking about that they cannot be like, they cannot have simultaneously love for Allah and for your enemy. Basically, as I said, that you cannot love your enemy. That contradicts with each other.
I'm not denying that you can interpret the passage, and this is what I'm saying. You're interpreting the passage.
First time you hear this, basically. I'm asking you
trying to get the Quran out of a problem. And the problem is that people are born with two hearts.
Bro, I'm not trying to get the Quran out of a problem. If someone made a meaning that makes the Quran seem like it's not true, then it's the person. It's not the Quran. Sorry, it's the comprehension.
I think the Quran lays down a challenge, and it says, if this were from any other than Allah, that I would be able to find errors in it. I've found errors in it. I found lots of errors in it.
No, you have not, brother. If you want to take it, you can take it. If you don't want to take it, no one can force it from you. But if this is a meaning to read, you can tell me.
I've got to go in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We got to wrap up.
You have found a lot of errors in it.
Wait, hold on, guys.
Scholars, not from the Quran.
Sorry, Sean.
Quran is not errors in it.
Sorry, Sean. Sorry.
I'm sorry for that.
No. You're good. You're good. So, guys, first of all, I want to thank both of you for a respectful conversation and coming up here and engaging like this. This is awesome. Both me and Bob appreciate it. Bob, there was a question in the super chat. Hopefully the person's still here. They had a question on Surah 3. Pretty easy question here. So the question is, in the Quran, verse 3,
yeah,
the word affirm.
Is it Surah 3, verse 3?
Yeah, chapter 3, verse 3.
Okay.
Muslims use this word to say the Quran came to correct the Bible and Torah. What does the word actually mean in Arabic, and what is the context? Thank you for what you do. May God lead us to the truth.
I can answer to this.
Now, this is for us, Habibi.
For you guys. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not sure that I'm equipped without checking and doing a bit of research to answer every aspect of this question. So in Surah 3, verse 3 reads thus. Let me just change my translations.
Luckily you have an English sheikh with you, Bob, so don't worry.
Okay.
Well, you're slacking, I'll pick it up.
In Surah 3, verse 3, it says, He has revealed to you, O Prophet, the book in truth, confirming what came before it, as he revealed the Torah and the Gospel. So I understand that to say, and obviously I'm going off Fadl Solomon's translation, that the Quran is confirming the Torah and the Gospel. So it's not saying that the Torah and the Gospel are unreliable. It's not saying that they are changed. It's not saying that they have been thrown away. It's saying that the Quran is confirming, it's affirming the Torah and the Gospel as reliable sources of information.
Correct.
And that, to me, is one of many verses in the Quran that disprove the Islamic argument that the Injil and the Torah that they can't be trusted, and the Quran is not teaching that. It's teaching something different.
Right. Now, to touch on what the word there is for confirming.
Yeah, I'm not sure which word he wanted to look at.
Don't worry, I got it. It's Musadik.
Can I make one point after this?
No, this is for us, brothers. We're done.
No, no, nothing to do with this. Something else.
No. We're done, bro. We're done.
Like one
But-
thing, if
But
you allow
listen,
me.
Prince, you can come back. You can definitely come back, and we can continue. Bob, you can hit up Bob on his channel and stuff like that. I'll be back here live tomorrow if you want to come through and
That would literally this
possibly
would
touch on the
help.
last point. You can come on, but we're done for the day. Okay, just last
Okay,
we're
good, no problem.
doing this, and then we're gonna be done.
It would be humiliating if I did share that, but
Okay, maybe Prince, you'll just have to respectfully just let us land on this, and
no
and then-
problem, no problem. Yeah, go on. No problem.
All right. So, matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and move you guys down. But I appreciate you guys. I'll be live again tomorrow. So, Prince, come back. Sean, you guys can come back tomorrow, and we can, we'll have more time to talk about whatever. Okay. I appreciate you guys. All right. Yeah. So now let's go ahead and look at this word musadikin, which is the Arabic word for confirming here. All right. You see it right there on the screen. It literally means to attest to the truth of something, attest that something is true, that it is correct. So it's not correcting the scriptures, it's being a witness that the scriptures are true, that the Torah and the gospel are true. Okay, that's what that word means. So if a Muslim ever tries to tell you that the Quran came to correct the scriptures, challenge them to bring you a single verse in the Quran that says that, because there isn't one.
I just want to give. Yeah, sorry, bro. Go on.
No, that's okay. You can earn.
I just want to give Dr. Ghali's translation because it agrees. Like I've looked at multiple different translations, and they all use the word essentially confirming.
Yes.
But then Dr. Ghali translates it like this: He has been sending down upon you the book with the truth, sincerely verifying what was before it. Sincerely verifying. So that just to back you up that there's, Dr. Ghali translates it in a way that you just described.
Exactly. So as you can see here, guys, if a Muslim is trying to tell you that the Quran came to correct the previous scriptures, that's a lie. There's not a single verse that says that. There's not a single understanding of that word or definition of that word that says that. It's a lie. Okay. In fact, the Quran uses the previous scriptures as a criteria or a judge to solidify its truth. You go to chapter 10, verse 94, Allah tells Muhammad, if you are in doubt, what is he supposed to do, Bob?
Go and speak to the people of the book.
Go and speak to the people of the book to confirm his revelation. Chapter 16, verse 43 and 44. He's supposed to go to the people of the book, the people of in that verse, it calls us the people of the reminder.
And it says to those people of the book that unless they stand upon the Torah and the gospel, they have nothing. Unless they stand upon the gospel, they have nothing to stand on.
Nothing to stand on, man.
Nothing to stand on. So not only should Muhammad go to the people of the book, but the people of the book should stand on the Torah and the gospel, which means that the Torah and the gospel are completely reliable sources. But the problem is, if the Torah and the gospel is true, Muhammad is a false prophet.
Exactly.
And if the Quran is correct in what it's saying about the Torah and the gospel, the Quran and Muhammad is a false prophet.
Still.
So, either way, guys, the direction is towards our Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Bro, I am overstaying my welcome in my host's room, so I need to go.
Well, it was a pleasure, man. Did you have fun?
It was great. Fun. I'm so glad we did it. And I'd love for you to come and do something similar on my channel.
Definitely, for sure. Just let me know. And like I said, I'm going to be in touch with you. Next week is going to be dedicated 7 days straight to Muhammad. So I would love for us to have a day just like we did just today. You pick one of those topics that you like to touch on, and we do it, man. We go in on it.
I'll come in and I'll bring a whole bunch.
Yes. Okay. All
God
right.
willing.
God bless you, Bob. Thank you so much for coming through, man. I appreciate this.
Peace be with you all. And I'm sorry, brother, I can't stay after the live stream finishes. So I've just got to shoot.
This is it. I'm about to get some.
Peace be with you to everyone. God bless.
God bless you, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Bob the Builder, ladies and gentlemen. Nice little cameo here. So I hope that you got your answer to your question. I have also videos on this when it comes to what the Quran says about the Bible and how it teaches that it's preserved and correct and true, and how no one is able to change Allah's words, including the Torah and the gospel. So check out my channel. I have a bunch of videos and shorts on stuff like that. We got one more super chat before we head out of here. Big fan of Bob and big fan of God Logic. It's going, guys, may God strengthen you. Keep it going, guys. May God strengthen you. And thank you so much for the super chat. I want to thank everybody for the support. Fresh off the ban, you guys came in over 1,000 people watching, 1,100 we hit today. Super huge, man. Super huge turnout. It's man, God is good. All praise and glory goes to the Almighty, one true God who is triune, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Holy is their name, man. And I'm just excited. Guys, Muhammad Week is going to be fun. Hopefully when Bob confirms, we'll have Bob again. We'll have David Wood on another day. We'll have Sam Shimon on one of those days. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to see who else we can get too. Hopefully we might be able to get a big surprise, but we'll see. You know, usually he doesn't like to work with anybody else, but we'll see if I can sweet talk him. And you guys know who it is. So let Christian Prince know what I'm doing here with Muhammad Week. Let him know when he goes live next time, and plant the seed and see if he'll be open to coming through on one of these days. I know he'll have fun. So let's see if we can get Christian Prince. I need you guys' help though. I need you guys to spam him in his messages, spam him in his comment section, and say, hey, Logic wants you to join him for Muhammad Week. He's going in on Muhammad for a week straight. Join him on a day. Let him know. And I'm gonna hit him up too. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Keep me in your prayers. Keep everyone that's listening in your prayers. Doing close ministry with certain people from Balboa Park, doing some discipleship and evangelism from people who we really connected with last weekend. It was a blessing. And also there's couples out there that we're ministering to as well. Okay, so keep everybody in your prayers. I love you all. Thanks for supporting the ministry. We will be back, Lord willing, tomorrow, coming back, inviting Muslims to come up and change our minds. Give me a reason to say my shahada. All right. Love you guys. Peace.